Like I never tell a client, no matter if it's a cat or a dog, I will never say your dog or your cat is fat or is overweight. I will try to come to that conclusion together with them.
Yeah.
Sorry for Saying Sorry Media presents the Purr Podcast, the best podcast for feline medicine and surgery with tips, tricks, and updates for the entire veterinary healthcare team. If you're dying to know more about cats, keep on listening. Here are your hosts, Dr. Susan Little, famous cat vet and textbook author, and Dr. Jolle Kirpenstein, talented surgeon and social media geek.
Hi, this is Dr. Susan Little.
And Dr. Jolle Kirpenstein, and this is the Purr Podcast.
And we are so happy because I think, Jolle and I were just talking about this, I think you are the first nutritionist we've had.
Ever.
I think we,
we need to go back.
Our listeners will correct us if we're wrong.
They
but,
will, immediately.
Immediately. I think you're the first nutritionist.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I know we had Kara Burns, who was a technician specialized in nutrition, so she did an awesome job.
She did.
You know, it has been too long.
Yeah. So we'll let you introduce yourself.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Jolle Verbrugge. I am a nutritionist at the Ontario Veterinary College.
Yay. My alma mater.
And I dedicate my time to teaching, research, and clinical service.
How long have you been at OVC?
8 years.
Oh my gosh, time flies.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Yeah. And originally, you're not from Canada or the OVC.
No, I'm from Belgium.
Oh, very close to my home country.
I could do this interview in Dutch, right?
Yeah, we could. That would be very good for Susan.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Maybe you could have more an international audience that way, right?
Yeah, but Susan would be very quiet.
Yes. First time in her life.
First time. Probably the only way to make Susan quiet is to do your interview in Dutch.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would work.
So.
Yeah.
So
you did your vet degree in at Ghent?
At Ghent University. Yes.
Right.
Which is a wonderful university.
It is.
Yeah. And then from there?
So I did my veterinary degree, and then after that I stayed on as a PhD student / resident. So I did both at the same time. I did a residency for the European College of Veterinary and Comparative Nutrition. And my PhD dealt with cat nutrition, focusing on carbohydrates and cats. And after that, 2 more years of postdoc at Ghent University. First, I didn't really want to leave, but then I decided to take the big jump and come to Canada.
So why Canada?
It was really the job that interested me.
Yeah.
So when I saw the job posting, I was like, well, this is something that really interests me, and let's give this a try and go for an interview. And
here we are, 8 years later.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's worked out.
Yeah. And now you live in wonderful Canada.
Yeah,
it is a great country, isn't it?
It is. It is. Although people often, especially people at home, they often ask me, is Canada better than Belgium? But I cannot really say that. Every country is just different.
Different.
There's differences, and I can't really say it.
And there's nothing better than the mother country.
Yeah,
so you should not compare
true.
it anyway.
Yeah.
But
Do you get home very often?
Once a year, maybe.
Yeah.
See all your friends and family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So because I'm of course an expat too, and the most difficult part is the family part, especially my mother, who is, she wants me to be closer.
Yeah. But you visit your mom as much as you can.
I do. So I have the luck to have a job that I can fly quite a lot. So I tend to fly through Amsterdam and then go to my mom.
That's what I. Yeah. In September, I have a conference in Europe, so I try to.
Yeah, you'll make
sneak in a visit as well.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, good. So, and OVC is pretty well known in the world. It is a very, very good reputation because of excellent. They have the primary care healthcare center. They have a very big emphasis on teaching and communication, and they have an excellent nutrition service. Thanks to you.
Yeah. Tell us about the nutrition service. Who's there at OVC these days?
So at OVC, our nutrition group has become pretty big. We're 2 faculty at the moment. So right now I'm mainly focusing on research, but Dr. Sarah Aboud is also working with us, and she's
wonderful.
Really focusing more on the teaching and the clinical side for now. We recently hired a veterinary technician specialized in nutrition as well. So she's been with us for a month now. Her name is Shoshana Vertenshaw. So she has...
So you do deal in the most difficult last names
of
the university, I guess.
I think so.
Yes. But great for Shoshana. That's awesome.
So she this first month has been really great. We already see the benefits of having a technician working with us.
And a specialized technician.
Yes, yes. And then I have 8 graduate students at the moment. 2 of them are veterinarians and are doing a residency for the European College, specializing in nutrition. And the others are either PhD students or master students.
So that's a lot of supervisory work, right?
Wow.
Yeah. 8's a good.
Yeah.
So it's a good amount.
It's a big number.
I think so. Yeah. So they must.
And
be
it shows just. I have to turn down so many students as well, and
it shows you the interest.
It shows the interest in nutrition,
Yeah.
Among veterinary students, but also among people that are not veterinarians yet, that are going through undergraduate degrees at the University of Guelph.
So they're probably working on quite a wide range of projects, are they? Yeah. So what are some of the interesting things they're working on?
So I think at the moment, most interesting projects. What I still love the most is feline obesity.
Yeah.
That's my. Really, that's my PhD started there and everything, so I like continuing with that. So I have a few students working on that.
That's great.
Then one student is doing research on plant-based diets in both dogs and cats.
Yeah.
And I have 2 students working on cancer-related research as well. So one of them is focusing on vitamin D and cancer in dogs. And another one did a survey on supplement use. Yeah, like what kind of supplements are people using, or is the cancer population being fed more supplements compared to the
and just to put another plug for OVC, they also have a very good cancer center.
They do.
Yes,
great cancer center.
Yes.
Yeah,
so.
My own cat was treated there for cancer. Yeah, so I've had experience as a pet owner there, as well as being a grad from OVC. Yeah, cool.
So that takes quite a lot of your time then, doing all that research.
Yeah.
So what's the balance of your research time versus, say, teaching time right now for you?
Under normal circumstances, I'm 60% research. Yeah. 50 teaching, 40 research. I'm completely wrong. 40 research, 50 teaching, and then 10% services. My numbers weren't adding up to 100.
No, they weren't. I was like, okay, I'm calculating.
I think you need an extra person in there.
Plus 40 is 100, and then 10.
You need another person to help you with that workload then,
Yeah. So, but right now my distribution is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So what are the main problems in cat nutrition at the moment?
I think obesity is a very big one when it comes to nutrition.
Even in Canada.
Yes. Everywhere. In industrialized countries, right? Whether it's North America, Europe, Australia, we see up to 60% of cats.
It's a crazy number, isn't it?
Right? Yeah. And it is big.
And it's reflected what we see in people too. I mean, it's not only cats, and what we see in the other species, which we don't mention. So it's kind of an epidemic over multi-species epidemic.
Yes.
So do you see, and I think there should be like a sort of a One Health connection there, right? Where there's a connection between obesity in pets and obesity in people, and how what can we do to look at the two
strange things that I've seen in literature is that when it comes to dogs, the species we don't want to talk about, you see that dogs that are obese tend to have obese owners, tend to have less active owners, but with cats they haven't found that relationship yet. Yeah. It's not because a cat is overweight that the owner will be overweight, and maybe it's just because of the lifestyle, right? Because cats have an indoor lifestyle. They don't necessarily have the lifestyle that their owner has because they're not going on walks or not being active. Like
it's a different relationship
with dogs. It's just a different relationship.
And we know that CDC has done quite a lot of work in dog walking, and so people that get a dog that are obese become less obese because they walk more, they go out more. So obviously you don't take a cat to walk except for Bug.
Yes, except for Bug. Yeah.
Yes.
Have you met Bug?
Yes. I know Bug.
You know
I haven't met
Bug.
Yes.
So Bug is here actually.
I know.
At this veterinary conference that we're at. So you may see Bug. Yes. Bug is a kitty who comes with her veterinarian often to conferences, and she's a very chilled out cat and seems quite relaxed in public spaces. Yeah, more relaxed than most people are in public spaces, actually. So, but she's an exception, right? That relationship that people have with their cats is usually not based around activity, right? Or at least outdoor activity.
And like looking at my own cat as well, like she's sleeping 23 hours a day, let's say, right? Like getting a cat active is really difficult.
So I think that speaks to how important it is to recognize differences between species. So when we're tackling obesity problems in cats, it's going to be somewhat different than how you're going to tackle it in the other species. Cats are more likely to have short bursts of activity and then a lot of rest. Right? They're not like constant activity or longer periods of activity. So does that make it harder, do you think, to try to get them moving because they're because of their nature?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. So if you're working with an owner whose cat is obese, obviously we'll talk about the nutrition component in a bit, but it's more than nutrition.
Yeah,
right?
It is more, definitely. Like activity is a big thing. And I think when you're treating obesity, you don't want to just focus on nutrition.
No.
Like it's a complete lifestyle change, right? Like not only in cats, like in every species.
Yeah. So what are some of the cat things that we can talk to owners about that are aside from the nutrition part?
The nutrition, I think making them work for their food. I think that's a really big one. Like I tried food toys with my own cat, but when there's a bowl of free food there, she will never play with the toy. So in order to motivate the cat to play with toys and to be more active, make sure that is the only source of nutrition.
You have to pick up the food bowl. Yep.
And then make sure there's a lot of environmental enrichment, right? Like scratch poles, things that they can jump and go on a height and then climb and things like that. It's not just the activity. Also, some of these cats are really bored in the household, and just making sure that they're less bored. Make sure, like when we're bored, we often tend to go to food as well, right? So cats do that as well. So they will, if they just don't know what to do, they just go to their food bowl and just eat all day, right?
And last but not least, I think it's also underlying diseases that we don't recognize. And I think joint pain, for instance, is a very common older cat disease. They don't want to walk, and they get fatter. They don't want to walk. I mean, it's just this vicious circle that they get into that might. So when you have young cats, often they're still kind of sporty and thin, but when they're older, they start to.
Yeah, that's very true. And some of that might be like a concurrent disease.
And I do feel like with dogs, older dogs, you're focusing a lot on joint problems, but with cats, it's still something that people don't really... And a lot of cats hide their pain, right?
Yes. That's the problem.
So it's something that is still underdiagnosed.
Yeah. And I think part of the problem too is just, again, as we've talked, the relationship with the owner to the cat is different. So they don't take the cat for a walk every day. So an owner's going to notice more quickly if their dog is limping or slow, right? But the signs of chronic pain or arthritis in cats, owners just might not notice as readily. Yeah. And yet we know it's a really common disease as cats get older. Right. And of course there's nutrition plays a role in that too.
Yes.
And there is a big link to obesity, because if you do have chronic joint pain and we can get some weight off of you, that's going to help you as well.
And we can go also into the fact that, veterinarians are probably not the best sellers of nutrition in the world, because they don't talk about it when cats are healthy and normal and they don't have any problems. I mean, it's not that they always bring up nutrition as an essential part of their well-being. And
I do see that in Canada, veterinarians are better than in other places of the world. Yeah, they're like looking at the numbers that are out there. Veterinarians in Canada are better at prescribing veterinary therapeutic diets than other countries.
Good for us.
So maybe other countries can learn something from
I don't know what
they're
we're doing right,
here,
but yeah, good, okay.
But there's definitely room for improvement there, and I think like veterinarians should focus. Like I think often the conversation with the client is going a bit wrong. The client always gets the feeling that they want to sell something, but it's really, you as a vet, it's about focusing on the pet, right? Making sure that you can explain the benefits of a certain diet and why any species should be on a specific diet. And I think the easiest thing is when there is a specific disease, you can focus on treating the disease and making life better for that baby. Those are easier situations, right?
Yeah, those are easier. I think vets do have sort of this innate reluctance to appear to be a salesman, right? We don't want to feel like that, and we don't want to be perceived like that. So I think vets need help in how to make that conversation work. Yeah. Right. So the vet's comfortable.
But when it's about treating disease, we should look at diet as a drugs, right?
And it's a good way to look at
it. Sell it the same way. So you are prescribing specific antibiotics or whatever for certain diseases or anti-inflammatories. Nutrition should be the same way. Right?
I always compare it with fleas. So fleas are kind of normal. Every cat, every dog has fleas, and we prescribe something against the fleas. Yeah. We also know that every cat and every other species have problems with their diet, but we don't prescribe diets to them. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you have to have a therapeutic diet for every case in the world. No. They just need to be on a balanced diet.
Yes.
And you need to check it, because if you don't, then you probably will never find out that this cat is probably getting the wrong nutrition.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a good point, I think, to bring up the WSAVA nutrition, global nutrition guidelines. Because there's an amazing wealth of information, and not just in the guidelines, but in all the additional tools on the website. So WSAVA.org, right? Yep. So do you use some of the tools?
Yeah, for sure. I love their body condition scoring charts. Mm-hmm. First and for all, they're not branded.
Yes, that's nice.
Like, we have beautiful charts before from pet food companies, but pet owners don't like us. We don't like selling things, right? Mm-hmm. So if there's no logos of a pet food company on there, that's something nice helpful to use in the consult room. Also, their muscle condition scoring charts. I think it's really important to, in every animal, not just focus on body condition scoring, but also do muscle condition scoring. Because body condition score really just assesses the fat.
Yeah.
And can you explain, because we have a broad audience, can you explain the difference between the two and how you do it?
Yeah. So with body condition scoring, you're really looking at fat deposits. So you look at the animal, you feel the animal. You always have to feel, because the fluffy coat will hide a lot. Mm-hmm. So feel the animal and check for fat depositions at specific locations in the body, like on the ribs, like cats typically, that little tummy, right? Yeah. So cats and dogs are definitely different when it comes to fat deposition. So that little abdominal fat pad is really typical
it's a cat
for a cat.
Thing.
That's a cat thing. Also look at the silhouette of the animal.
And this is where the WSAVA guidelines can help, because they have pictures, and so you put them in a certain category.
They have pictures, and they also have descriptions. Mm-hmm. So if you don't feel 100% comfortable with giving, and that's what I tell student veterinarians, they're not feeling 100% comfortable with their scoring yet, I'm like, look at the descriptors and look back at your cat and see, does what I see match with the descriptor? So that's also a very nice.
And what I really like about them is when I was still doing clinics, I use it also as a tool for the owner before I started even the discussion, and say, okay, where do you think your cat is in this scale? And then they pointed at most of the time way below where I thought the cat was. Okay, are you really sure that that's exactly how your cat looks like? And so you kind of educate them, because it's a difficult topic to bring up. But if they show you, it's much easier to talk about.
I completely agree. I never tell a client, no matter if it's a cat or a dog, I will never say your dog or your cat is fat or is overweight. Mm-hmm. I will try to come to that conclusion together with them. So that's one way of doing it. The way I do it as well is I use the trick with my hand.
I've heard you describe this, because I've heard this before.
So I will, when I feel the ribs, I will explain that the ribs have to feel like the top of your hands. Okay. That would be normal. When you feel the knuckles on your fist, that would be too thin. Mm-hmm. If you're feeling the bottom of your hand, of your flat hands, that would be too fat. Right. So when I explain that, I see a lot of owners in their seats, and they're kind of sometimes hiding it a little bit, but they're feeling their hand, right? And if I see that, I will tell them, well, now, why don't you feel your own cat or your own dog? And I see them doing that, and I will ask them, so what do you think?
That's a great
And
way
then
to do it.
they often admit, do you feel the ribs? Do you not feel the ribs? And then they often admit, there is some extra fat covering there. And that kind of opens the conversation. Maybe
that's what I have to do with my mother-in-law. Great tip.
Show her the hands.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But I love that approach because the owner comes to the conclusion themselves, right?
Yes.
Nobody likes to be told something.
Yes.
But if they discover
that was the body condition scoring.
Right.
Now we're going to the
muscle condition scoring. So the reason I feel that muscle condition scoring is really important. With body condition scoring, we're looking at the fat. We're not looking at the muscle. With muscle condition scoring, you're looking specifically, or you're feeling for specific bone prominences to see how much muscle mass the animal has. So temporal muscles, shoulders, spine, hips. Really focusing on those specific muscle groups. And it's really important because, one, there can be situations where animals have local muscle loss. Like we talked about those cats with osteoarthritis.
Yeah, that's true.
So they may be overweight because they're inactive, but they may have lost muscle in the back.
Skinny little legs.
Yes.
And that's true.
There can also be general muscle loss with aging, right? That they lose a lot of sarcopenia. I think with cats, the most extreme example when these two scoring systems are needed at the same time is a cat with hepatic lipidosis. A cat with hepatic lipidosis, I always had trouble scoring with we just did body condition scoring because there's so much fat, but that cat you still felt the ribs.
Yeah.
It's like
Doesn't
it's
make
almost
sense.
a skeleton in a fat suit.
That's a good
right?
Yeah. So there you would give that cat a 9 out of 9 body condition scoring because she's fat.
Yeah.
And you would say that the cat has severe muscle loss.
Yeah.
So in that situation, it is really important to do both.
Yeah, and cats are good at losing muscle mass. Sometimes while still preserving fat mass, right?
Yes.
So it's a really good distinction.
So one of the criticisms on the body condition scoring was also that the extremes are not extreme enough.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
So when we're looking at body condition scoring, the scoring system that WSAVA uses is a 9-point scoring system, with a 9 being obese, a 1 being underweight, the 4 to 5 being normal. But there's also a 5-point body condition scoring system. It has been used a lot, and I think many people still use it. For me, there's really not any difference between the 5-point and the 9-point because I tend to use half points with the 5-point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Making a 9-point, the 5-point into a 9-point.
Exactly.
So I don't see any problem with using either of them.
I think it's helpful within a clinic, though, if you maybe decide on the same one. So there's consistency.
Yes. Yeah. The only thing with any of those scoring systems is that the highest score, so every score is matched with a % body fat. So a normal score of a 5 out of 9 would be 25% body fat. With every score, you add 5% body fat. So you come up to, so it goes 25, a 6 out of 9 will be 30, 7 will be 35. So a 9 out of 9 will be more than 40% body fat. But we don't know exactly how much. It could be 50, it could be 60. Like I read DEXA scans cats that are more than 60%.
That's crazy.
So you and it makes a difference. It does make the differentiation between obese and morbid obese.
Yes.
The dangerous obese, because 9 is obese and it's dangerous. But if you go beyond that.
We've all seen cats that you'd like to score as like a 12 out of 9. Do you know what I mean? Like you're trying to get a bigger number.
And what I recommend in those situations is don't just rely on your body condition scoring, also do morphometric measurements.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So morphometric measurements tend to be more precise the fatter the animal is. So
and
it's really
what you do.
So with morphometric measurements, you would now I have to think about cats. I think it's 4 measurements.
I think
in
it's
cat.
4 in the cat and 6 in
something
the
like
other
that.
species.
Yeah.
It's less in the cat.
Yes,
though. Yeah.
I think it's 4 in the cat. So you're measuring specific parts of the body, like body lengths, head circumference is one
There's
of them.
a leg circumference in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a certain set of measurements.
Yes, and then once you've done the measurements, you put this in a software, and it will
tell you percent body fat.
Percent body fat. If we're doing just body condition scoring, you can know the percent body fat based on your scoring, right? Because every score relates to a percent body fat. But when you're in that category that is more than 40% body fat, you want to make sure that you get a little bit more precise estimation of body fat. And morphometric measurements can really help with that. The reason why it is important to estimate body fat is because we use that to come up with an ideal body weight.
Right.
So if you don't, ideally you go to your files, you go to the medical record and you check, was this cat here when it was younger? Has there ever been a recording that shows a body weight and a normal body condition score? That would be the ideal situation. Whenever we don't have that, we can calculate an ideal body weight by using the current body weight and the body fat percentage, and based on the body condition score.
The other reason I like morphometrics is it removes some of the judgment call, right? Because even when you're doing body condition scoring, there's still like a judgment call in there, right? And so for some owners, having that, it's almost completely independent. You know, we're going to make the measurements, we're going to plug it into the computer, and it's going to give the answer. I didn't give the answer. You know, so that being at an arm's length sometimes is really helpful.
It is really helpful, and it's especially for the very overweight animals. Morphometric measurements are less precise when we're using it for animals that are like a 6 or a 7 out of 9. So there I'm a little bit afraid that the measurement, like if you use the software, the measurements will underestimate the ideal body weight. And of course in cats, when we're restricting calories too much,
we need to be careful.
So especially when the cats are obese.
So these are all great tools, you know, that I wish vets used more actually and understood how to use them.
Right? And we'll put the links of these various places where they can find these
we'll put them on our website, our purrpodcast.net website. When we have the description of this episode, we'll put the links to the WSAVA tools in there.
And also the morphometric.
And the morphometrics.
Thank you, Audrey. This was wonderful. I mean, the first set of our 2 talks that we'll have with you. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. And, you know, it's crazy how time flies when we're talking about something that we're so extremely passionate about. So, and I always refer to the fact that Susan and I started this podcast because there's not enough emphasis on cats. And I think obese cats is a entity. If you talk about 60% obesity within the cat population, that's something that we really should tackle. And so I'm really happy that you're here to bring up that topic. So.
And we'll have some more. We've had some great tips and tricks to talk about obesity in cats. So thank you very much.
Yes, so this was wonderful. Thank you.
Dr. Susan Little is a feline medicine specialist with 2 cat-only hospitals in Ottawa, Canada. She is best known as an international speaker and as the author and editor of 2 textbooks, The Cat, Clinical Medicine and Management, and August, Consultations in Feline Internal Medicine. Along with 3 cats, she also admits to owning 2 dogs, and you can follow her on social media with the handle @CatVetSusan. Dr. Jolle Kirpenstein is a diplomate of the American and European College of Veterinary Surgeons and a big cat fan. His specialties range from surgical oncology and reconstruction to minimally invasive surgery. He is the author of 2 textbooks on basic and reconstructive surgery. Did you know he was allergic to cats? Jolle works currently at Hill's Pet Nutrition. You can follow him on social media with the handle @GVETSX. The opinions of this podcast are those by Dr. Susan Little and Dr. Jolle Kirpenstein. Veterinary medicine is a complex profession, and often there are multiple diagnostic and therapeutic options for different disease processes. If you're a pet owner with questions, please go to your local veterinarian. If you're a veterinary professional, ask your questions on our Instagram page @Purr Podcast.